Hi, I'm Julia, Reference Librarian at McAllen Public Library. Welcome to the Virtual Traveler, where we'll be exploring the world using Google Street View. Be sure to stay tuned after the tour for some library book recommendations. Iceland is a Nordic island country in the far reaches of the northern Atlantic Ocean, with a population of around 360,000 people. It is the most sparsely populated country in Europe, and its largest city and capital city is Reykjavik. Reykjavik and the surrounding area is home to 2/3 of the country's population. Iceland is a volcanically active island, and the interior plateau is made up of sand, lava fields, mountains, and glaciers. It sits just outside of the Arctic Circle, but because it is warmed by the Gulf Stream current in the Atlantic Ocean, it's not quite as cold as you might think, although it's still pretty cold. It is thought that the earliest inhabitants of Iceland were actually Irish monks who lived there in the 800s, before the arrival of the first Scandinavian settlers. In fact, recent archaeological excavations have revealed the ruins of a cabin dating to the late 700s or 800s. The first permanent residents of the island were a crew member named Natfari and 2 slaves of the expedition of the Swedish Viking explorer Gardar Svarvsson. The earliest accounts of this story are from the Landnámabók, or the Icelandic Book of Settlements, from the 9th and 10th centuries. In the year 874, the Norwegian Norse chieftain Ingolfur Arnarsson built his homestead in present-day Reykjavik. He was followed by other settlers, mostly Scandinavians and their slaves, many of whom were Irish or Scottish. By 930, most of the arable or farmable land on the island had been claimed. Although only 1% of the island has forests today, during this historic period, a quarter of the island actually had forests. It was also during this time that they established the Althing, a legislative and judicial assembly that governed the Icelandic Commonwealth. In the year 1000, Christianity became the required religion by law. This Icelandic Commonwealth lasted until the year 1262, when the Althing could no longer manage the growing power of the Icelandic chieftains. At this point, Iceland went under control of the Kingdom of Norway. When the Kingdom of Norway became part of the Kalmar Union in 1415, Iceland went along with it. During the 17th and 18th centuries, disease and natural disasters, including volcanic eruptions, led to a drastically decreased population. In addition, pirates from several countries regularly raided Iceland's settlements and abducted people into slavery. It wasn't until the 1800s that a movement for independence began. In 1874, Denmark granted Iceland a constitution and limited home rule. It was almost 100 years later, in 1944, that Iceland finally became its own independent country. If you're having flashbacks to Game of Thrones and think this icy landscape looks like the land beyond the wall, and you can imagine yourself living Jon Snow style with the wildlings, that's because the scenes beyond the wall in Game of Thrones were in fact filmed in Iceland. Of particular interest for book lovers everywhere, Iceland has a huge book publishing industry. Iceland has the highest number of bookstores per capita of any country in the world, and Reykjavik is designated as a UNESCO City of Literature. Iceland imports and translates more literature than any other country in the world, and 10% of Icelanders will publish a book during their lifetimes. Most books are sold from late September to early November, and this is known as the Christmas book flood. It begins with the Iceland Publishers Association distributing a free catalog of the year's new books to every home in the country. If you'd like to dip your toes into this flood of Icelandic literature, check out some of the book recommendations at the end of this video. This was Julia, and thank you for watching. Be sure to follow MPL Adults on Facebook and McAllen Public Library on YouTube, and don't miss any of our virtual programs.